What's going on, gamers? I am Merkaba18, and today we're going to be talking about a Hordes of Hel build guide. So, the new 1.0 launch just happened, and we finally, after hours of trying, beat the insane difficulty on the final map that they've introduced here in 1.0, which is Helheim. This map is, without question, the hardest thing I've ever done in a roguelike, one of the hardest things I've ever done in a video game. It is insanely difficult. So let's talk about how we did it. First of all, we tested all the different classes. We tried a ton of different combinations. And Revenant consistently was coming out on top. We were having a hard time with other classes. Some of the other classes did okay, but every time the Revenant was just doing better. So we stuck with it. We did a lot of testing, and we've come up with this build. I'm going to walk through the talent tree. I'm going to walk through a lot of the passives, the god choices that you're going to want to focus on. We're going to talk about where to put your passives, and then I'm just going to let you watch the video of the actual insane difficulty boss kill so that you can see it in action. Revenant, we are going to be focusing on 4 possible skills here. I tend to prefer these 4. In a lot of different ways, these are kind of interchangeable, depending on what you're trying to do. They all work in different ways, so pick whichever ones you prefer for the Revenant's base abilities. He's got a ton of really good ones. I personally don't like Heartseeker very much, but there are, particularly for me on the run that we killed the boss on, we went Necrotic Rain all the way to 4 and Grappling Web. Those are the 2 I used, but you can make a case for Skull Shot for single target and Rapid Fire for fast firing, but those are the 2 I use there. You're going to fill out the entire tree here, and you're going to take the aimed passive skill here and the ethereal arrows when activated on Ghostwalk. Now, gods, obviously fill out as many of the passives and bonuses as you can. We're going to emphasize a couple of very important things. There's too many to go through individually, or this would be a 45-minute video, but basically Revival is one of the most important ones that you can get, and that anytime you have passives that give you better skills or better damage, those are going to be good. We're going to go to skill rewards, etc. Loki has some really good passives, particularly on your evasion and movement speed. You're going to take Shapeshifter. For Loki, you want to have local Ragnarok for this setup and for almost every setup in the game. Then we got, obviously a lot of Brock and Sundry passives there. But one of the most important gods of the 2 in this build are Scotty. So you're taking basically everything in Scotty's tree. You could take these off because you're only really you're taking all of these, but you don't need any of these. We were just testing with that one. The most important skill that you want in this build, or one of them, is Frost Ring. Frost Ring is going to do tons of damage, freeze, and set off a number of the passives that we're going to be working with. So we're using Local Ragnarok and Frost Ring as 2 of our god abilities. You can interchange just about anything in your class skills that you prefer. They're all really good. And then we got some passives here for Njord. Not too much. You can make a case for some of these if you want, but these are more like progression bonuses and stuff like that. Then the second most important when it comes to gods, pardon me, I have to sneeze. Or not, is Nidog, which is the World Snake, the brand new god that they came out with. We're taking everything all the way down to Power Overwhelming. All these passives get taken. And then we're focusing on, preferably, my preference is Ray of Sickness here, but you can make a case for Wing Attack as well. Everything else is kind of meh. Offers some level of utility, but not really going to cut it. The reason I recommend Ray of Sickness is the damage goes off like crazy, especially when you hit it to level 4. Wing Attack is going to do less damage, but it's going to give you better control. And obviously with roguelikes, not everything's going to go perfectly each run. All right, so all of those passives, right? We're using Ray of Sickness, we're using Ring of Frost, we're using Local Ragnarok, and then 2 class abilities that you prefer. I used Grappling Web and Necrotic Rain. And then in terms of passives, there are a lot of passives that you can choose from. You're going to focus on a little bit of max health because the Revenant doesn't have a ton. You're going to focus on chance to freeze on attack, damage reduction, extra revives if you need them, and then one of the most important ones is the chance to heal when you kill an enemy that's frozen. So the basics of this build is that there's so many mobs. There's tons of them, and they come at you relentlessly. There's very small spaces, and you're moving around a lot. So you're going to try to freeze as often as you can, and then trigger heals off of those freezes. Also, there's a passive within the Revenant choices that gives you heals when the dogs return to you. Always want that. Knee Dog gives you one called Corpse Eater, which gives you passive heals chances whenever you kill an enemy. So the passives are going to be focusing on freezing and healing off of those freezes, and then kills off of those freezes as well. You're also going to want to really, really focus on some movement speed as well. Now, in terms of subclass, for me, there is no question in this one. We went Undying because of the healing and the chance to stay alive instead of die whenever you're killed. Every time you ghost walk, it's going to give you an extra heal. Very, very helpful as you're dodging around. It's also going to reduce the cooldown on that. So most of the passives are centered on freeze and trigger off of heals, and then we kind of put it all together. You're going to need to get a little bit lucky. It's going to take some practice, but eventually you'll get it. So that is the setup I used. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions. Make sure to watch the rest of this boss kill so you can kind of see what it looks like at the end, how it all came together. And then watch for some other build guides for the other classes as it relates to Endless Wave mode. Make sure you hit the sub button on your way out. Thank you so much for watching. See you again next time. All right, boss, let's go. Ooh, that hurts. Gotta be careful of those waves. Okay, phase 3. That would have hurt real bad. Don't do it. No, don't do it. Nope, nope. lucked out there a little bit. Sometimes you got to be a little bit lucky. I think this is the final phase. I think. Who do you think you are? I am! Okay, keep your controller just in case.